What's up? It's Kayvan, Senior Director of Artist Relations here at Even, and I'm here today talking with Kota the Friend, an incredible independent artist based out of Brooklyn, New York. I'm raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, sir.
Great rapper. If you haven't checked him out, definitely check it out.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. All right, let's hop into it, man. I got a lot of questions that I want to ask you. But to start off, I want to talk a little bit about Local Art Dealer Volume 1. So you've described this as one of the more vulnerable pieces of work that you've put out so far. What does vulnerability look like for you in the creative process? Like, how do you tap in to those emotions, and how does that work with your collaborators as well?
Man, vulnerability is just really opening yourself up to life and to your experiences, because it's always there. It's like the universe is always there for you, just waiting for you to tap in and for you to be open enough to let it in and let those feelings in. And I realized that as an artist, that's the most important thing, is my connection to the universe and to my experiences and my lived experiences. Because I think too many times we go through things and we allow situations to close us off to different versions of ourselves. Sometimes we push certain versions of ourselves aside. It's like, I may be 30 and 33 now, but I don't really want to associate with the 16-year-old version of myself, And so, like, as long as we kind of close off certain parts of ourselves, we're never fully here. We don't have access to those emotions and to those feelings in order to really express them the right way. And it's kind of like when people say, like, you got to know where you've been to know where you're going.
Yeah.
And so vulnerability for me is just allowing all of those things in and for them to be part of you right now.
For sure. Do you think that's something that you learned over time? Like you mentioned, like, obviously 16-year-old you is a different person than 33-year-old you. Same thing for me. How did you kind of learn to be vulnerable? Because I feel like that's also a thing in hip hop where, like, vulnerability is not necessarily always such a big part of the creative process or even the conversation at all.
Right. So learning to be vulnerable is big. And I think for a long time I was only vulnerable in my music, So, like, there's certain things that I could express in my music that if I'm in conversation with you, I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't, it's hard for me to communicate. So it's like, it's so funny because people ask me, like, what's one of your biggest challenges in life? I would say communication,
Yeah.
But people find that funny because it's like, bro, like, when you're writing and in your music, you come across so clear. I'm like, yeah, because I saved that part of me for the music, So for a long time, it was vulnerability in my music was easy, and I think life happened, and life happens in situations, and you get caught up, and so for a few years, I stopped putting that vulnerability in my music, and I think I found that again just by, like, doing a lot of digging deep into myself. And I read a lot of books from Brené Brown, who's like, she's a dope speaker and researcher. And her books are just about vulnerability. She writes mainly about vulnerability. So I'm reading them over and over and over. I'm listening to the audiobooks over, and like, she becomes kind of my inner voice. And I think that subconsciously pushed me into the direction of being vulnerable. And then when I sat down, I had just finished building a studio in my house in Brooklyn, and I sat down for the first time to write. And I made a song called Salvation, which is the last song on Local Art Dealer Volume 1. And that was the first song that I was vulnerable on in probably like 5-6 years or something like that. And I realized that I had opened that door again. You know what I mean? I had entered that space, and I just, like, cried. Like, every time I listened to the song, I would listen to it over and over, and I would just cry over and over because I was just happy to be back in that space.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I mean, I think that's like being a writer in general, right? I feel like that's the hardest thing, is like when you hit a block of being able to kind of open up and really genuinely just let what you need to let out. It's almost like a huge joy when you find that ability again, or when you find that moment again, right? That actually is perfect, though, because it leads me into my next question. A lot of artists think about and talk about making music for themselves. But in the back of their mind, there's always the idea of how is the audience going to respond to this? How are they going to hear it? How are they going to listen to it? How do you kind of separate those two things in the creative process? Like when you're writing a song like that, where it is truly for you, versus when you write maybe a different song and you're thinking like, all right, like this is, the fans are going to love this one. So like, what does that balance look like between the really vulnerable moments and this, and just thinking about the audience in general? Do you think about the audience?
Yeah. I think there's times where I think about the audience and times where I don't. I think I used to think about the audience a lot more than I do now. But even then, I think when it comes to sounds, we're only borrowing from what we've heard, what we've been influenced by. So we're constantly like borrowing and putting things together. Like there's nothing that's original, you know, so to speak. Like, yeah, we can add, I think we can create our own seasoning, our own flavor, and we add to it. But I am just a culmination of everything I've learned. And that's what makes me unique. Not necessarily original, but that makes me my own thing in a way. Because I have my own, you know, influences and I take them and I put them together, whereas you have your own and it's completely different than mine. And it's like, oh, it's maybe similar in some ways. But so I think when it comes to sounds, it's like, yeah, you're gonna connect with certain people based on sounds, you know? But when it comes to like subject matter, the more that I'm myself, the more I'm gonna connect with you, you know? Because we have such a similar experience of human experience. It's really like we are one, you know, we are all experiencing the same thing in different ways, for real, no matter what level you're at. We're experiencing the same emotions. It's like what they say about like notes, 12 notes. Like Quincy Jones says, it's the same 12 notes. Everybody's just has a different idea about the note. But as far as our emotions, we experience the same thing, rich, poor, you know, no matter what part of the world you're in, it's all the same. So I just write about my experience and I try to dig deep into what that is and what I'm feeling and like, what am I actually feeling? And I know it's a good song when I know that I've expressed myself well, you know, and that's it.
I feel that the authenticity part of making music, I think, is such an important part in connecting with your audience. I feel like when I hear artists that are like, it's obvious when they're trying to make songs
right
for people and not for themselves.
Exactly. You got to talk about what you went through. I think that's why a lot of times when a song is named after a person, it's always like people want to hear that song because it's like we know that's real and we're just drawn and we gravitate towards real. Yeah,
I agree, and especially in hip hop as well. Like, I mean, it's true of other genres, but I feel like in hip hop, especially that authenticity piece, that real experience, that real life piece, like it does make a difference. At least for me, like when I listen as well, it's like I always know the artists who are just trying to sell me something, as opposed to the ones who are just trying to tell me who they are and show me who they are.
Exactly.
You said that you're proud of this project, right? Specifically, Local Art Dealer. No matter the outcome. I think that's also a thing that a lot of artists struggle with, right? Is the idea of like success in a project being proud of the project. So for you, like what did that process look like for you to get to that place? Have you always felt that way about your music, or is that a more recent kind of development in the way you think about it?
I think it's a more recent development. I think there was a block of time where I just wanted people to like the music, you know? And I just wanted people to really vibe with it, you know? And so I was more focused on people liking it than I was about me liking it, you know? So I think before that block, I really enjoyed it. You know, I really enjoyed making music. I was happy with everything that I made. And because I was proud of it, it came off different. You know what I mean? When you're proud of something you create, it does something different. Like there's a certain energy around the project that isn't there when you don't really connect with what you're making, you know? And so I think recapturing that feeling of just being proud of what I'm making and really connecting with what I'm creating, it made me feel like I don't ever want to go back, you know? So it's a new thing, but an ancient thing at the same time, you know? And so I'm just That's why I made my next album called Just Happy to Be Here. Because it's like, it feels good to just be feeling these feelings, to just be in this vulnerable place, to be letting all of these different things in, no matter the outcome, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. If you could, in one sentence, what does a successful project look like to you now?
A successful project looks like something that was real. It was real and it was from my heart, and it expressed where I am right now in my life. And a successful project, it's like, forget about people saying, yo, this is a great album, this is dope. It's like when people say, you know, I needed this right now. Like, this saved my life. Or, bro, you're always on time, you know, because this is the message. This is a message that I needed, and yo, I connected with that. So for me, when people connect with it, I don't care if it's one person, five people. It's like that. Those comments mean everything, because it's like you heard it and you felt it, and because I felt it. Yeah. So that means I'm doing something right. And so I don't look at every project as like, it has to be this. It's more like I'm going into a direction, and these people are coming in that direction with me, you know? So I like that we're all going on a journey, and as the journey continues, I'll be grabbing more people, and we're all going on, wherever this is going, it's gonna be fire, you know?
I love that, man. Yeah. The community.
Yeah.
You know, the community is a part of it. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more later on. But first I want to talk a little bit about No Rap on Sunday. So the album title, right? It seems like a very personal philosophy. It seems like there's a reason behind No Rap on Sunday.
Yeah.
Where did that idea come from? What does it actually mean for you now, especially, you know, being a father and living life outside of music as well?
Right. No Rap on Sunday, the concept just means family comes first, and people you love and the real things come first. You know, before you step into the world to do whatever job you do it for a reason. And so just making sure that your purpose stays the same, and that you stay grounded. So that's why it's No Rap on Sunday, because I don't care what you're doing for the rest of the week. When my mother's house on a Sunday and she's cooking pancakes, and bro, we're not playing rap music. We're playing soul music. It's strictly Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know what I mean? Or it's the oldies, and it's gonna be a good vibe. And she just doesn't want to hear that on that day. She's like, all week y'all do this, and I get it all week, you know. But this is my day. You know what I mean? She's coming from church or wherever, and so it's that time to just like chill and just be present and be with family, and to remind yourself of like who you really are. You know, forget about what the world has in store for you. Forget about what you're chasing during the week. It's like right now, this is what's important.
I feel that. You got to respect mom on Sunday.
Yeah.
If mom says no rap on the house on Sunday, you got to do no rap on the house on Sunday for sure.
Exactly.
I feel very similarly about Sundays, man. Sunday is a sacred day. You got to take it for yourself. You got to do the stuff you need to do. Take care of yourself on a Sunday. So I feel that 100%. You've got Big Sean and Fivio foreign on this project. Two artists who do have like, you know, kind of contrasting different sounds, different vibes. How did those collabs come together, and why would the people that you chose to be features on this project?
Right. It was mainly about the sound, you know. So on the song I got with Big Sean, Michigan, first of all, it's called Michigan. And one of my homies was like, bro, you should get Sean on this. And I was like, yo, that would be crazy, because he's the perfect vibe. So I was like, let's send it to him, you know. And then he got on it, and it was great. Fivio, getting him on Hello was cool, because I've always appreciated Fivio as a lyricist, something that I don't think people really saw him as, you know. But when you're a lyricist and when you're a writer, I'll be listening to some of his music, and I'll be like, nah, this dude is a writer. You know, he's not just, you know, a drill rapper. You know, like, he's actually good at writing. Yeah. And so I felt it important kind of to tap him and be like, bro, get on this record. And so I wanted to do something different for No Rap on Sunday for sure. Yeah. I wanted to think a little bit outside the box, so people would see, you know, Fivio foreign on the track with me and be like, yo, that don't make sense. But for me, it makes sense, you know?
Absolutely, man. And then in your entire catalog, because you release a lot of music, you put a lot of music out over the years, right? How do you feel No Rap on Sunday fits into the larger catalog? Did it feel like a new chapter? Did it feel like a continuation? Did it feel like revisiting something?
I think No Rap on Sunday closed the chapter for me. You know, I had spent the last few years being bi-coastal and living back and forth from LA and well, not LA, but Long Beach and New York. And when I made No Rap on Sunday, it was the first time I was stationary in New York. So I was here and I was building my house. I was literally building it from pretty much the ground up. We had to take out all the walls, all the floors, everything, ceilings. It was just a full gut renovation. And so like that process was just so crazy, just being here, home. I'm home and I'm building my house, you know? So that it's like by the time I was finished the album, I was almost finished building a house. And so it meant something to build at home, you know? And I think that's where the idea of No Rap on Sunday came about. So when by the time I finished doing it, it was kind of like I'm closing a chapter on where I come from, and I was accepting all of those things because a lot of when I was growing up, I wanted to leave. That's all I wanted to do is leave and go see what the world has in store, bro. Like when you come from New York, you never see certain things. Like you just like people with lawns. You know what I mean? It's just like you look at it and you just like, I always wanted that. I'll go down south to my grandmother's house and I would just be like, bro, it smells like grass out here. And I like it. You know, it's just little things like that made me curious about the rest of the world. Yeah. And but I had to come back. There was something like I wasn't facing here, you know? And so No Rap on Sunday really is me facing here. Is me facing here and facing home and being like, nah, like I'm gonna make my mark here before I go everywhere else, you know? Whereas like, I think prior to that, I was not even trying to have nothing to do with this, you know? But so No Rap on Sunday was really just me accepting where I'm from, who I am, and that the fact that I am from Brooklyn, I am from New York, even though I think the New York City landscape doesn't allow a lot of versatility, you know? Yeah. But it was definitely a moment of me grounding myself here and creating my foundation here, accepting that foundation and making it my launch pad, you know? Yeah. So now wherever I go, I feel different when I say I'm from Brooklyn, I'm from New York.
She said, call me Stephen Irwin if you looking for adventure. She been out in LA.